Good evening, everyone. And I, Dr. Chaitanya Ganpule, Chairperson of the Endocrinology Committee of Fogsi, welcome you today for the 126th episode of Gyan Pravah, a podcast series which is an initiative of our Fogsi President, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar. Today, we are going to interact with a very learned and well-known personality, and that's Dr. Anand Deshpande. He is the founder and managing director of Persistent Systems. But before I actually formally introduce you all to him, I would request Dr. Ashwini Kale to say a few words on behalf of Foxy. Over to you, Dr. Ashwini.
Yeah, thank you, Chaitanya. A warm welcome to Anand Deshpande, sir. It is really a pleasure to have you here today on this podcast. These podcast series are started this year by Foxy, which is a Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Societies of India. And we have 46,000 members of this society across India. So all these are obstetricians and gynecologists. And this year, our theme revolves around women's healthcare. So we have multiple projects going on. Of them, Know Your Number is a very dynamic project which is started by our president, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar madam, where we are collecting 4 important details of all women above the age of 12 years, like her blood pressure, weight, hemoglobin, and her sugars. So basically, we are studying this data across India to understand that how India is slowly becoming the diabetic capital. And then another project where we are working towards is preconception care for the woman, that is the health of a woman before she actually begins this journey of pregnancy, so that automatically the maternal mortality and morbidity can reduce, and somewhere we can compete with the West in that in 2-digit number. And we are also working a lot towards cervical cancer awareness and HPV cancer vaccination, where we are vaccinating many girls and women across India for free also through camps. And we have adopted Banaras, and our project, which is called as Nirmal Banaras, is going on for the past 2 months, where we are targeting to screen all the women in the city of Banaras against this cervical cancer, so that at least we know that after this screening we can reduce this incidence to less than 70%. So these are our various projects that Foxy is doing, and we are very lucky to have you, sir, and to listen from you how leadership works and everything from Chaitanya and yourself. So we would also like to welcome you sometime to any of our Foxy programs as per your schedule. And a warm welcome once again, sir. Over to you, Chaitanya. I will join from the audience's link. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Dr. Ashwini, for elaborating all the various projects which have been taken up by Foxy. Let me formally introduce Dr. Anand Deshpande to you all. He is the founder and managing director of Persistent Systems since its inception and is responsible for the overall leadership of the company. He is also the founding trustee of Persistent Foundation and has served numerous positions. A few name too is NASCOM Executive Council, is a founding president of Association of Computing Machinery India, Software Exports Association of Pune, Pune chapter of Computer Society of India, CII's Pune Zonal Council, trustee in the Computer History Museum, founding member of Indian Software Products Industry Roundtable, founding member of 14C, a member of Dean's Advisory Council in the School of Informatics, Computing and Engineering at Indiana University. He has also, along with his family members, established De Asara Foundation. Now, this is a non-profit entity that focuses on creating self-employment at scale, and through Second Orbit program, with collaboration with Dr. Ashok Korwar, he has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs scale their business. Welcome, Dr. Anand Deshpande, sir.
So thank you very much, Chaitanya, for inviting me for this event. And I would like to congratulate Foxy and the president, Dr. Tandulwadkar, for this amazing initiative. Clearly, I'm not a medical person at all, so I feel a little bit out of place here. So I don't know how you want me to respond, but you are very persistent, so I'm here. And let's see what we can make of this hour that we have together.
Thank you so much, sir. So we all know that you are the founder and the managing director of Persistent Systems since its inception, and you have been the cornerstone of what Persistent Systems is today. We would like to know more about yourself. How did you start with your journey with Persistent Systems, and how did Persistent Systems evolve over a period of time to what it is today? We know that it's a very successful IT company and one of the pioneers in the IT companies in India.
So yes, Persistent actually, we completed 35 years 3 days back. May 30th was our 35th anniversary. But let me very briefly share my background and how I got into Persistent and how we got here. So I did my schooling in Bhopal. I did a BTech in computer science from IIT Kharagpur in 1984. And then I went to the US and did a PhD from Indiana University Bloomington in computer science in 89. So my area of expertise has been mainly in data management. And then I worked for about 18 months in Hewlett Packard Laboratories in Palo Alto and decided to come back to start Persistent. So bootstrapped it early on. And over the last 35 years, the company has grown quite well. We are a listed entity in the stock market, in the Indian stock market as Persistent. And the company employs about 25,000 people all across the world. We are in 18 countries. And in India, we have about 20,000 plus employees working for Persistent. And in terms of our revenue, we did about 1.4 billion dollars in revenues last year, which was the year that ended on March 31st, 2024. And the company is listed, as I said, and last when I checked, we were above 80 to 85,000 crores in market cap, so about $10 billion in market capitalization. Now, for the last 5 years, I have a full-time CEO who runs the business, and I'm chairman at the moment. So I have had the time and opportunity to look at other things, which helps me talk about what we will do today.
Wow, I mean, the numbers are amazing, and it's very difficult even for me to imagine the numbers that you just told. $1.5 billion. How much rupee that gets converted into? You said that you were in Indiana and then you were with HP for a few months before you came back to start Persistent. Was that a conscious decision for you to come back from US? Because I think that was the era when there was quite a few opportunities in the US as well. So rather than staying back there and looking for opportunities there, you came back. But was it a conscious decision, or it just happened?
No, it was very much a conscious decision. I wanted to come back to India, so that was clear. And when I was looking to come back to India, I found that there was a good opportunity because the government had decided that they wanted to prioritize software. They had set up something called software technology parks. We had the Secretary of Department of Electronics at that point, which was Mr. N. Vittal, who came to the US, and he was trying to promote the fact that they want to do software export from India. So I was able to take a ringside view of this. If you look at the software industry in 1990, when I started the business, we were about $30 million globally, meaning India's contribution was about $30 million. Today, it will be about $300 billion. So I have seen the journey of the software industry from a very small industry with small number of companies now to being one of the most important industries. We are about 8% to 9% of India's GDP in the IT and technology areas. And in terms of exports, we are one of the best exporting industries for India. So it's been a good change and a good opportunity to see the excitement that has happened in the software industry.
A quick question regarding the same before I move on to my actual topic for discussion today. What made you select Pune as your city of, to start the Persistent Systems? Because even then, probably Bangalore was the chosen city for IT industries.
No, not really. At that point, because CDAC was anchored here, one
Yeah.
of the first software technology parks that got set up was set up in Pune. But
Okay.
clearly, the main reason I was in Pune is because the family members were in Pune. So my parents lived in Pune and my grandfather had lived here, and it just was home. So that just made it easier.
Okay. Uh, let's move on to the topic of today's discussion. Sir, I have heard and read about a program that you have been running for many years now in the name of Second Orbit. And I have learned that it is something that's related to scaling up of your business. And please tell us more about this program, and maybe we will go into the depth of it as we progress with the podcast.
Correct. So, as part of business, what I have observed is that growth in a business is not a straight line. It doesn't grow sequentially. In
Okay.
fact, growth in a business is a sequence of S curves. You do some things, you see
Okay.
growth for a period of time, and it tends to plateau out, flattens out.
Okay.
And at that point, you cannot stretch it too much. You have to find your next orbit.
Okay.
And like this, you keep changing orbits. So currently, we at Persistent claim we are in our sixth orbit. So, but what happens is that the interesting thing or the challenging thing is that what works in one orbit actually doesn't work in the next orbit. So in
Okay.
every orbit, you have to reinvent yourselves and do different sets of things because it's just that you cannot run a same playbook for a very long period of time. It reaches a certain plateau and maturity, and you have to reinvent yourselves and do something different, which is what becomes very important. Now, this transition from the first orbit to the second orbit is especially difficult because in the
Okay.
first orbit, it's about the founder. The person who starts the company with his own energy, and he
Okay.
runs his own business. And he gets used to it, gets comfortable with it. Business is doing well, but it will reach a situation where it plateaus out. So what we have observed in India specifically is that especially in general in business, as 20 to 25 crores is sort of a threshold where a lot of founders are able to take their company to 25-30 crores, but it will be very difficult for them to grow that business from 25-30 crores to 300 crores. So this
Oh,
transition of taking a first orbit business, which has kind of reached its maximum, to the second orbit is a sort of a activity that you need to do. And what we have done in the last few years is to build a program around what are the aspects that need to be defined so that you can move from one orbit to the other orbit. And I
oh,
actually run a course. We have a partnership with IIT Bombay and NASSCOM, where we have companies that NASSCOM sends us, and then we train them over a period of time on how to scale their business. And I also run a program in Pune along with Gokhale Institute, where we have taken two batches of 25 companies each for a year in a year-long program, meet once a month and explain to companies how to scale your business. So it is a tough problem, but if one can figure it out, then scaling can be done very easily. Now, I must caution that I have never had any clinician or anybody from the sort of medical clinician type people come into my class yet. We've had people who run, um, should I say, pathology labs or people who build software for healthcare industry in our class. But I have never had a clinician do this class with me. So I'm not sure how directly it works with us, but I'm happy to share with you what I have learned from various other industries and software engineering, whatever else, on what holds companies back and what they should do to scale their business.
so you just said that you haven't had anyone from the hospital industry per se doing this program. But sir, if you see, the scenario in the medical field is also changing, and over the last few years, if you see, there are quite a few corporate teams which have come into this hospital industry, and all the hospitals are running more like a business than a profession. So there is a changing face to this medical field as well, changing face to the hospital industry as well. And so somewhere, do you think that whatever components that you are going to talk about in this program or the second orbit would be applicable to the hospital industry as well? I mean, just
I would think so. I would definitely think so. But let me say another thing that I think would be relevant. So, in some sense, when a doctor or a clinician runs his clinic and wants to expand that business,
Mm,
they have many options. They might want to bring in somebody, do whatever else. So, if they choose to scale their business, I think the theory that we have for second orbit would be relevant for them. Now, whether they want to choose to scale their business is their choice. But
correct.
should they decide to do that, then what should they do so that they can be effective in doing that? I think we can share that as part of what we'll talk about today in terms of how this second orbit works. So I'm planning to give a very short glimpse of some of the key facets of what companies or individuals need to focus on to help them scale their business to 10x of whatever larger than that. And again, as I said, I run very long courses. I run like a 1 year course. So I'm trying to compress some of the learnings in what next 25 to 30 minutes. So let's see how it goes. But if there is great interest and if are some people from the community who want to collaborate, then perhaps we can take a look at our curriculum and see if it can be tailored for the Foxy audience in some sense.
So, that's a great news for all of us. So what are the components of this program when it comes to specifically the second orbit? So what all things we discuss about in this program, and if you can briefly outline what it is, and then we can go one by one.
Yeah. So I'm going to share four main themes that I think would be relevant. Of course, we have many more, but let me say the four most important things.
Mm.
So first one we will refer to as building a painted picture. Okay, so that'll be the first one.
Okay.
The second is the importance of focus and building a leadership for your clinic or your practice. The third item that I'm going to share about is how to build teams where you bring in colleagues who work with you rather than people who work for you.
Mm.
And then how do you transform your business from being my business to our business? And that's another important thing. And then finally, if we get time, we should talk about governance, because I think that is another important facet of what companies need to do to help them scale to the next orbit.
Interesting. So we are going to talk about four different aspects here. First one, you said that the painted picture. The second one, you said about the leadership, and then the team building. That's what I feel that probably would be the most important, because we have seen over years that in our fraternity, it's very difficult for two people or more than two people to come together and do something, because we are all intellectuals, and we feel that we are better off on our own rather than having a group practice, or rather than having a coming together. So the thing is that
Why is that so is again a good question, Ben, because I think this is something to think about. But anyway, let's get to that.
exactly. So that is where we have to change the thinking, because see, we all work for the corporates. There we are very nice to each other and work together, but all that working is for the corporate. But say tomorrow, if I say instead of working for a corporate, let's come together and start something, it becomes very difficult to form that team. So of all the four, I would surely love to hear from you about how the team needs to be built.
Okay.
Thought process should go into it, the perspective change what we need to build a team, all these things. I would surely love to learn from you, know from you. But first thing that you said is that one should have a clear vision about where one wants to go, and what the founder wants. That's painting your own picture. So can you elaborate more on this for us to
Yes.
understand?
Yeah. So, one thing to understand, and the one way I like to share this is that, if you want to climb a mountain,
Mhm.
you need a team.
Yeah.
But before you can get the team, to assemble the team, you need a mountain to climb.
True.
Unless you know where you are going, people don't come to you.
Right.
So it's the mission that drives the team. And one of the most important things that uh, teams need to do to succeed is to create that compelling mission. I'm here to climb this mountain. So what happens is that most humans find it very difficult to align to a mission if the mission is only numbers or text. So what we recommend to companies is that they should build a painted picture. So the group should come together and define their mission, where they want to go in terms of a picture that they can put on the wall and everyone can see that picture, and that's the picture that people get in their mind. And once people are aligned to the vision of where you want to go, then all of a sudden it becomes very easy to attract people, because people will come and join your team not because of you. They don't necessarily want to work with you, Chaitanya, but they'll be willing to work with your mission.
Yes.
So it's the mission that attracts the team. It's the mountain that brings the team together. It's not you, it's the team comes together because of the mountain. So defining that mountain, creating that vision of where you are trying to go, what is the mission that you are chasing, clearly defining that, which is so compelling that brings in other people together, is really a very important part. And in my opinion, the first important thing that people need to do when they are at second, trying to get from first orbit to the second orbit. Let me try to explain this a little bit in a slightly different context, another way. So imagine you're running your own practice, and let's say you're doing 25 crores, 25 crores. And you've kind of reached to a point where you are maxed out, people are happy, but you're busy and you're not sure how to take it to 200 crores or 250 crores. It would require some other things to do, different kinds of thinking may be needed, and all of that kind of stuff. So now you say, okay, let's go do, so you go tell your team, oh, let's go to, no, we have done 25 crores, that's great. Let's going to grow to 250 crores in the next 5 years. All of a sudden, your team will rebel. They will tell you, no way, it will compromise our quality of service. All kinds of excuses you will hear from people. Having been through growing businesses are very exciting. They can be very good fun. And there is no reason to believe or to say that if you have grown your business means that you are compromising on quality or anything like that. So nobody's saying you need to compromise quality, but you can grow your business meaningfully by doing a few right things. And to get your team to believe on where you want to go is where you create the painted picture. So this is an exercise that people do together. We run workshops. You bring in people together and you draw your vision, your mission that you're trying to achieve. And there are many techniques to do this. Today, I don't have enough time to share that, but I highly recommend trying this activity. So all of you who are listening, if you find that you are running a business or a clinic at a certain size, say X, instead of trying to do a 10% growth, 15% growth, think 10X. Don't think incremental, 10 times. So I'm running, let's say, 20 crores. Just imagine what a 200 crore business might look like. Don't figure out how to get there right now. We'll figure out later. But first, you need to see that mountain first. You don't know the way to get to the mountain, but you need the mountain to find the way to the mountain. So that's the first exercise that I ask people to do.
So when you say you have to paint the picture, that means the founder or the one who
No,
wants
it's
to
not founder.
drive
It's the team. It's we. It's not me. All of us together, my team,
Okay.
or whoever your doctors are, colleagues are, nurses, whatever else, everyone needs to believe and see the same picture.
Okay.
Including
And
the lowest person in the organization, they should see that. And you get good behavior if everyone is working for a mission. And that mission is the responsibility of the founding team to make that mission our mission rather than my mission. Nobody wants to come work for you, Chaitanya, for your mission. But if we are all together and it's our mission, including the person who is, sweeping the floors, then that's really what makes it. And we recently had this Chandrayaan coming up last couple of years back. And all of a sudden you would have seen lots of ISRO stories. Even the sweeper who was sweeping floors at ISRO believed that he was part of that Chandrayaan mission. The mission was very important. So you need to create that mission. That compelling mission is what drives the entire team to achieve impossible stuff.
So the first thing what we should be changing is from I to we, from me to us. So that's
Yeah,
what.
and we'll talk a little more about that. But yes, that is the key. You can't do
Okay.
anything like this alone. You need a team to climb the mountain, and the team needs to decide which mountain to climb.
And then how to decide, since we are talking about about painting a picture, now can that be an anything what I want, or there are certain rules and regulations when it comes to how to paint a picture?
No, I
Like
don't
say,
think it's. No, let's
suppose
not go into that. There are not too many. Meaning, of course, you have to make a realistic picture. There are ways to do it. You are trying to imagine your business at 10x your size. So, of
okay,
course, if you're running a 20 crore practice, you have to imagine what a 200 crore practice might look like, right? So, you might try to figure out what does it mean? Are there any other businesses like that? How many patients would you treat? What kind of hospital facilities you would need? So, all of those things would be point of what that visualization may mean. I'll be the greatest center in Central India, globally, whatever I'll focus on, whatever it is, right? So, defining that is what you do in your painted picture.
but then when I'm defining it, the first hurdle what I would feel is, after 20 crores, is it possible for me to reach 100 crores or 200 crores? That is that. So that will be the first hurdle in painting the picture itself. Does that happen
Yeah, it can
when you are
happen. No, it can happen,
when
but
you're
there are examples. You can see, take a look at it. If you push the imagination, see, normally what we find is that if you have a team which has some young doctors in it, some younger people, and you throw this challenge to them, they will give you pretty good answers.
okay?
What
Yeah,
happens is that the founder, right, the guy who took the business to 20 crores, is so tired and jaded that he cannot believe
yeah,
that he can do any more.
yeah, yeah.
I have a story for this,
Right.
So this is what happened to us as well, So I was part of the company in 96, 97. We were about 25, 30 people. Business was good. We were making good profits and we were getting a lot of business from customers. And I would always say, oh, more work, more headaches. Why do this? Let's be small, nice company, all that stuff, right? So one of the guys in the room, pretty much, we had a meeting, we were sharing all this stuff. And one of the guys said, hey, is this your company or is it our company? So if it's our company, why are you constraining us? We all want to grow. Why are you stopping us from growing?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that changed the equation a lot. And you will find that, a lot of other people in your teams will have ideas on how to make that happen. So be more inclusive, open it out. And of course, I can't share all the techniques today in this next 20 minutes, but when we do, if this is of interest, then we can do another session and I'll explain this in more detail.
So I got some gist of it or some hold of it. What you are saying, that one should have a painted picture first and then move
You
on
need
to
a
the second.
mission. You need a mission to go after it. And the best way to articulate that mission is visually rather than through text and numbers. That's what it is.
Proper. Yeah, the picture says 1,000 words. That's what they say. Second aspect, what you said is important, is leadership. Now, there are lots of material that's available to read about leadership. I also started reading about it a few years back, but then the more I read, more I got confused about exactly what do I mean by leadership. Lead by example. I mean, what do I do to say when someone says that lead
So when I'm talking about leadership in this context, I'm not talking about individual leadership. I'm talking about the business of the company being a market leader, right? So for example, if you take airline industry in India, who are the market leaders? It's Indigo,
by? Yeah,
then you have Air India.
correct.
Together, they dominate the market. Everyone else is very small. Lots of small companies, they all merged into various companies because that's how it is. You look at the telephone cell phone industry. In the past, we had many cell phone carriers. Now we are left with 2+1, right? Jio, Airtel, and Vodafone
Vodafone.
Idea.
Yeah.
Vodafone, right? So all the others have gone away. They have gotten disappeared. So what happens is that in any industry, the market leaders, typically 3 to 4 companies, dominate the market. They get unfair advantage. They get better leverage on pricing, and people tend to go to the leaders. So in any market, by and large, the top 3 to 4 companies will get 70 to 80% of the market share. And the rest of the hundreds of companies that you might have are nibbling the bottom, small numbers. And the small number companies typically don't have very good leverage. Okay. Now, why is this important? So if I'm a buyer, right, and if I have to make a choice, I tend to know the leaders. Leaders are well known. People go to them because everyone knows that they are leaders.
Right.
Now, let's take that theory and apply it to 25 crore company, right? So I'm running a 25 crore company and I want to be a leader. What would that mean, right? It's very difficult for a 25 crore company to claim leadership. So the point here to understand is that when I talk about leadership, it is leadership in the context of a market. Okay. So you have to be a leader in a market. So how do you define the market so that you can be a leader in that market? And another thing I'll say, like, what does it mean to be a leader? I'd say, if you have 20% market share in any market, you will automatically be within 1 and 5. Most likely you'll be 1 and 3, 1 and 4. So you can claim leadership if you have 20% market share. Now let's take this example of 25 crore company trying to get to 250 crores. And let's say you can see up to 50, 75 crores, whatever. Let's say take 50 crores is my next first milestone that I want to hit. Then I must have clarity on my market that is worth 250 crores so that I have a 20% market share in that market. And hence I will be a leader in that market. So defining the market space is a very critical factor of how you define your business and where you must grow. I'll give you an example. I don't have an example as I said, I have not worked with clinicians per se, but I guess Fogsi is by definition women's hospitals and all that. But then there are many women's hospitals, so why yours and all that? So that's a good question to see. How do you create that brand and leadership in that market? But I'm going to give you an interesting example from a fellow who attended our class, and he was running a travel agency. Right? Now, travel agency, there are lots of travel agencies. How do you choose a travel agency? And now in this new world where you can go to make my trip online, booking tickets and all that, why would you go to a travel agency? So travel agencies are very tricky to run a business as a small boutique travel agency. I'm a boutique travel agency. Very hard business to run. So he realized that, and we came to my class and we told him that, hey, travel agency, but there's so many of them, why you, right? So he found that he had some customers who he had gotten from study abroad programs. So students from US universities trying to come back to India, coming to India for travel related things. So it's very niche, very specialized, right? Travel agency, yes, but travel for US students coming to India. Now, when I'm running a travel agency per se, my margins are very wafer thin because I'm competing on online things. They don't give a shit about travel agents. So it's a very bad business to be in. So now when he's selling to
money as well, all these big travel.
So when I'm selling to a university, a study abroad program to India, my bargaining power is very different. I'm telling the guys that, hey, you have these students coming to India. If something were to go wrong, right? What will you do? You don't have an neck to choke. You can go online as much as you want and try to set up a tour in Banaras and hotels and this thing. You show up in Banaras and they say, sorry, I don't have your hotel. What are you going to do? So the pricing equation completely goes away because now you're selling value. So I'm selling a full service of I will bring your students here, take care of everything, travel, educational tours, partnerships with various universities, makes it very focused, very differentiated. And now your sales, customers that you're selling to are 100 or 1,000 universities in the US who have study abroad programs. You don't have to go put a board on the road and have people walk in because who's going to walk into a travel agency today, right? So I have numerous examples of businesses that have significantly been able to scale by getting clarity on who their customer is. If you know who your customer is, then you can define them, you can build a business around it, and you know how to scale that business. So another corollary that I find, let me explain one more corollary that I find. So normally what happens is that, when a business reaches a point like 25 crores and you say, oh, well, it's stagnating, I don't know what to do. There's a tendency for the founder to believe that I need to add more services. Oh, what I'm doing is not going to scale, so I need to bring more things and all. But one of the challenges that small businesses have or founders have is management bandwidth. Yes, you can add 5 more services, but who's going to do it? So
Mhm.
identifying that okay, being focused, doing a few things and doing them really well will give you scale that is much easier to grow than trying to do many different things. So, sort of narrowing down and being focused, but being very clear about who your target audience is, who your target customer is, who's the what we call in this terminology is something called ICP, it's the ideal customer profile. I should know what my ideal customer profile is and understand what does it take to identify my market so that I can get to, you know, the 250 crores or whatever number that I want to go after.
So first, you try to understand where you want to go by
Correct.
discussing with them. Once you know that that's the market, then you create a niche or focused market within the larger market,
Correct.
wherein can be a leader in
Correct.
that market by
Correct.
gaining at 20% of the market share.
Correct. And now you can,
That's
now
what.
in your kind of case, you can say, okay, I'm the leading for this kind of service in Western India, Eastern India, in the city, whatever. Depends on the size of the market. Right? I want to get to 250 crores. So can I define it within the region? Can I define it across one segment? Can I define it across multiple segments within the region? So there are different ways to slice the cat, as you say, but you
Here
have to figure out what makes sense for you.
I can see here a few examples from our own fraternity, that's Women's Health, in which now IVF is one of the leading,
Correct.
subcategory or a different vertical within the women's health market.
Correct.
And people have created niche for themselves in that particular market. They are leaders in that particular market,
Correct.
as you rightly said, rather than concentrating on the entire woman health as such. They have created a niche market for themselves within the larger market. That's how I am trying to correlate what you are saying
Yeah,
with what.
you're right. You're right. So, like for example, we work a lot with the US universities and US university hospitals, right? So, for example, what is happening is like radiology as an example. So, there are companies that only do radiology, and they go to large hospitals and take over the entire radiology center. So, the people who are radiologists in those hospitals actually work for this company called Radnet, and there are many others. So, like CKD as well. So, for kidney disease, right, Davita type companies,
Yes, it's in
they
India
only
as
do
well.
kidney disease.
It's in India as well. Yes.
Right. So they would do only kidney disease, but then they implant themselves in multiple hospitals. So they can run kidney disease at scale because they have, their doctors can leverage a large number of patient population and all of that stuff, right? So being specialized and clear about who you are trying to target and then defining the market that you can grow allows these kinds of companies to scale without having to compromise on quality or capabilities or any of those things.
Interesting. So I would like now to come to my next question,
Yeah,
and
the
the
most important one.
yes, and the most important for me, because I have seen lots of, as I said, the one who has come together and started some project fizzles out over a period of time. There could be n number of reasons to it, but it's very difficult for, as I said, for us doctors to come together and put something really good, and that's where team building becomes an important aspect. So
Correct.
is it an easy task or something on which one needs to work from within? That's what my question is.
Correct. So see, you know what? When you have run a business at 20, 25 crores, you have scaled, maxed it, you can't grow it anymore without having more people with you. So it's
Yeah.
very important for founders to have this realization that on my own, I can only take it so far. And if I want to 10x my business, I need more people to work with me.
Yes.
So this is the first thing. You need to accept that, I can't do everything myself. But then
True.
how do you bring a team together, right? So the way I tell people is that there are 4 things you need to do to make the team happen, to build good teams. And I'm going to use TEAM in the other way, so MEAT, meet is how you would look at it. So firstly, you need a mission. Without a mission, you cannot create a team. When you talk about people coming together, people don't like to work with each other, but they are all willing to work for a mission,
True.
right? So if you have a mission that is very clear, if you have a disagreement, you can always say, am I aligned to the mission? if I'm doing things that are right for the mission, then that's what makes me work together on this. I don't have to love you.
Right.
I don't even have to
Right.
like you, but we
Right.
all like the mission. So we are here for the mission. And that's why I'm here and that's why I do my thing. So having that mission is very, very important. Okay. The next important thing is empowerment. See, when you create a team like this, you need to empower every person on it. So when you have a cricket team, right? Everybody can't be a fast bowler. You need some fast bowler. You need a wicket keeper. You need batsman. So you need people who are different things, and you have to trust the guy to make his job, right? If the ball goes to him, he's supposed to catch the ball. You have to trust that he will catch the ball. You can't go as I'm the greatest player, so I'm going to go run around the field, try to catch the ball everywhere. That doesn't work, right? So you
Right.
need to have empowerment and you need to empower your team members. You need to allow them to be doing their own kind of things, right? And that works well when you have diversity in your team. You have a reason why everybody is part of the team and we are together for the mission. The
Right.
third thing is alignment. When you bring in a team together, you don't want to bring all people just like you.
Right.
So you need to know what your mission is. And for that mission, let's say I'm doing a mission which is related to whatever IVF, you might need some people who understand molecular biology, some who understand genomics, so some who understand this, that, whatever else, right? So different kinds of people need to come together. They are aligned. Each one knows what their role is. And it's not just that all of us who do the same thing are together, right? So having that alignment is very important. And finally, you need to trust. Unless you have trust in your system, you cannot work this out together. So it's sort of very important that when you bring in a team together, you write your prenup in a sense as part of your early stage. So all the people who come together as founders define what is the mission, why are we here, do we
Mm.
have a fallback mechanism if it doesn't work? So if it doesn't work, what is the exit clause? And you want to translate all these exit clause from emotional things to financial things. So fine, if I have to get rid of you, you can go at this price. You give me that money and I'm out. Or under these conditions, we can exit. So those exit clauses and all that, you have to have very rational conversation about what is the mission, why are we here together, and the fact if we are aligned, we understand, we complement each other, and together we can make a greater good for ourselves and for the team. So we
Mm.
work together not because I love you or I work with you. We don't have to. But we are here together because we are aligned to the mission. So the mission is very critical. Defining that mission is important. And bringing in people also who are aligned to the mission is very critical.
Mm. Mm.
But again, there are lots of aspects to this, but you have to also think about it from the other side. So, if I'm asking you to come and join me, you have to make it attractive for me to come and join you. Meaning, why would I come, right? Meaning, you have to share something. You can't just say, oh, everything is mine, my bat, my ball, my wicket, and I can take it whenever I want. You should come and play with me. That doesn't happen, right? Meaning, you have to be willing to share. So, there are techniques now. Companies do this a lot. We have options, we have equity, we have shares that we allow people to share with each other. And there are mechanisms both in terms of opportunities, your roles that you play, and all that. And you can define that. But it is very clear that if you want to achieve something big, you cannot achieve it alone. So you need people to work with you. So if you need people to work with you, might as well figure out a way to bring in teams together and work that out. And it's not about my ego or individual ego. We are here for the mission.
Right. 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 So the first thing what we need to do is we need to think, or we need to inculcate the habit of giving away, and sharing the things with
Giving
each
away,
other.
I wouldn't go that far. I'd say sharing, right? Meaning I don't have to
Sharing,
give
yeah,
anything. We should be in
sharing,
a position to say that we are here together. Together, we are better off than being alone. If we all
that's
agree with that, then good things will happen.
that's true. That's true. Wow. So these are the things which are not taught to us in the medical school.
No, nobody teaches these things even in any school at all. Even the B schools don't necessarily teach it. But having
Okay.
been part of the business now for 35 years and having hacked my way through it, I'm
Okay.
able to give you my guidance on what I see. And having worked with now a few hundred companies on their uh, thing and what teams work and when they don't work is where I can tell you. And I think, if this is of interest, then again, as I said, I don't know exactly what challenges medical doctors have, but I'm quite open to spending time with some of you to figure out building a course and experimenting with it if people want to spend like 2, 3 days and we can take a chance, no problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be fantastic. Because there are quite a few of us who are at that stage, probably, wherein we want to scale up, we want to do something different, but we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to
Correct.
figure it out as well.
Yeah, and
Uh,
also, I think another problem that we deal with a lot or we talk about is fundraising. How would you raise money? Today, that has also become an interesting challenge for many of you. If you want to go expand your thing, should you go to venture capital? How do you borrow money? How do you set it up for private equity? So there are a lot of new things that are coming in this. Also, exiting businesses. A lot of doctors I know would have created a very nice practice, but it is so individual dependent that they are not able to monetize the value of their practice. And if they were to, for some reason leave, then there's nothing left for them. So there are mechanisms that we need to incorporate that allow that management and ownership are to some extent separated out. So
okay.
the managers can run the business while the owners can own the business, right? And there is a methodology for doing that. And one good example of saying this is if you look at horses, is the jockey, right, doesn't make that much money. The owner of the horse makes the money.
So true. So true. The last component of this program, what we are talking about, is governance.
Governance. Yeah.
Yeah. What is meant by governance, and
See,
what are the components
yeah.
of governance?
So see what happens in many small businesses, right? That when you are a founder of the business and you start your own business, you sort of get arrogant and start to believe you're the king of the business. Everything you do is right. Everything anybody else does is wrong. There's nobody to give you the mirror to say, hey, are you really doing the right things, right? So you need to create a governance mechanism. Typically, what you do in companies is to create a board. So all our companies, we run through a board. So we create a board. Board has some members who are independent directors, as we call them. They're all called directors, but you can create pseudo boards in a clinic where this may not be
What do you mean
necessary.
by independent directors?
No, so independent directors are directors who are not part of the business. We bring in external people
Acha.
who have a, like you will have a trustees in your board and things like that. So you bring in other people who are interested in the business but are not necessarily full-time working in the business. So they have an ability to take an outside-in view on the business. And they typically have worked with larger orders or magnitudes of companies, typically somebody who has retired or whatever else. So every company that we run in the context of what we do at Persistent and many other companies, we have a concept of a board. So most companies are private or public limited companies. They have a board. The board usually has some members who are from within the company and a few independent directors. Independent meaning external members who are part of the board. And then we define governance mechanisms. So every 6 weeks, a meeting will be held. This is what will be shared. We have data. We will define our targets. This is what we're going to do next quarter, next quarter, next quarter. So there is a mirror that we put to the founder saying, hey, are you doing your job? What is the job you're going to do? And are you doing it effectively? So to do all of that stuff, you need to have some mechanisms for governance. Then also, good practices. How do you make sure your accounting is, perfect? All your paperwork is complete, all the compliances are in order. So all of those things need to be monitored on a regular basis. And what happens is many times when clinicians are involved in this business, they say, oh, yes, somebody else is going to take care of it. So I have an administrator who does it. I don't even know what is happening. So you are taking a huge risk because a lot of these things can get you into trouble, right? If you don't have something goes wrong, then
Okay.
you want to have a mechanism to ensure that you have the best practices in the company, you have metrics for doing it, you are tracking the right kinds of dashboards, so are you making progress on a month on month, quarter on quarter, week on week, every day basis. Am I doing better than what I was doing yesterday? So for doing that, you need to set up a governance mechanism for the company, and there are standard mechanisms that most people use in corporates, and I think some of it might be applicable here as well. And they also help in trying to define conflict resolution, people working with each other, founders not getting along, then the board can come in very handy, and it becomes like a nice group that sort of listens to the board, helps you with mental issues, stress, all those kinds of things as well. So I find the board and having a group of mentors, typically advisory boards or whatever else, as a very effective way for small businesses to kind of leverage or take advantage of the fact that, there is community that can be helpful and they can help you with other things as well.
Again, a hurdle or what many times we feel that if I approach someone, so can you be a part of our board as an independent director, or can you mentor us, or can you give us some inputs? Will that person be willing to do that?
Yeah.
That's a question what comes to my mind, and probably I never approached that person in the first place.
So let me share this. Right
You
now,
have been, you have been
So,
at different places. So what is your take on that?
yeah. So I'm 62 right now, 63 actually. So, all my friends, they have all retired recently. And they have all done good in their jobs and have retired at very good places. All of them at home kind of doing very little. And all of them are looking to get on board. They want to be on board. They want to help companies. And you will find enough number of people who are willing to contribute, both financially, with time and everything else, because they all want to see the excitement of a company. Everyone wants to be involved in hospitals and supporting doctors and all of those things. I think you will not have any problem at all searching for directors or independent mentors or any of those kinds of things. And actually, in this again, as part of our workshop, we create a model of how do you find them, where do you find them, how do you approach them. But if you go to LinkedIn, for example, and look for independent directors, mentors, or whatever else, you'll find that there's millions of people who want to do it. So I don't think it's that difficult to find board members at all. In fact, it's quite easy. I know so many people who want to be on boards who are not getting invited, so they are kind of not happy about it. But yes.
Okay. Like that's what it came to my mind
So
that
try asking some people. Just experiment. Just ask. Say, if I invited you to be on my board, would you come? And you'll be surprised. Many people will come for free. It's not like
Okay.
it's going to cost you a whole lot either.
You have been working with the medical field through your foundation for quite a long time, and you have been doing a few CSR activities. Would you like to tell us more about the different fields in which you are working with, and what is the vision of yours when you're working with these different companies?
No, so one, of course, I'm very passionate about the fact that in India right now we have 25 million young people coming out at every age in India. We need 18 million jobs, and there aren't going to be that many jobs available. So I think we need to help people become self-employed, and gig and entrepreneurship is going to happen. So I run a foundation called Deasara Foundation. So D is for Deshpande and ASRA are the initials of the family members. So you can go to www.deasra.in. And we have about 400 plus thousand people who we have supported in terms of 4 lakh plus small businesses that we have supported over these years in trying to help them with their self-employment thing. So that's one area that I'm very passionate about right now and spending a lot of time.
When you say this, it's not only the monetary support.
No, not monetary. We have processes that we can help these companies be successful. So these are what we call nano entrepreneurs. The nano entrepreneurs we define as those between 5 lakh and 1 crore. And there are certain challenges that these businesses have, and we have things that we can help these companies do those kind of things. The second area that I got involved in.
Orbit ones.
No, this is a little different. They're not quite orbits. These are lifestyle businesses. So food counters, beauty salons, dance class, those kinds of businesses.
Okay. So this is a little different work.
They may not ever grow to become large companies.
Okay. And you have been working.
But I'm a business. I have to run my own thing. I run a DJ shop. My photographer is trying to make decent money using a photography business. So the people like that, right? So that's one area. The other thing that I've gotten interested in, which is where I'd love to get Foxy's support in some sense, is that of course, everyone runs into various kinds of things, and we had family which had cancer in them, and we realized that most of the treatment that we take in India is based on international data. We don't have any of our own data for our own people. And this, I think, is a huge challenge. We have 1/6 of the world population, and we treat people on the basis of Western data sets. And the reason that is happening is because we don't have our own data sets.
That's so true.
And being a data person by training and all that, I said, hey, Why can't we have our own data set? So anyway, it's been pretty tough, but we set up something called the India Cancer Genome Atlas, ICGA Foundation.
Okay.
And this is based on a model that in the US, they have something called TCGA, the Cancer Genome Atlas. So what happens is if somebody is treating anybody on cancer today, they typically look at biomarkers and the course of treatment depends on those biomarkers. Now, which biomarkers to choose and all of that comes from past history of research that has happened on data sets, which today, a lot of it is coming from TCGA data or European biobanks. But if you look at European biobanks or TCGA, you're going to get data sets that is comprising of Americans or Europeans. They don't have Indian people in that thing. And we are different. If we need people to do research against our data set, we need our own data set. So we started out with breast cancer. And we have created a platform now, about 300-400 breast cancer samples. We have fully sequenced them. So we have full DNA, RNA, proteomics data for them. And this data will be available, is available in open access. So anybody who wants to do research against this can freely access this data. You have to write a proposal and there's a committee that approves it. But once you have that, you can access the data. So we have been investing to try to create this data set. And in a similar model, I'm trying to work with the RSSDI, which is the Research Society for Study of Diabetes in India. Again, that's an even more complex problem. So a lot of different kind of things that I'm working on. And currently, I'm also co-chair of BRIC, which is Biotechnology Research Innovation Council. So I'm working very closely with the Department of Biotechnology to see how we can look at data and bio and computing, AI, all of these kinds of things. I think next generation research happens at the confluence of different areas. And I've been trying to figure out ways to see how to bring people together so that we can look at new things, because that's what is needed. I know we are running close to the end of the hour, so perhaps another time I can share more details about some of this. But let me leave you with two ideas. So 3 things. One is that if you want to reach out to me, I'm anand@persistent.com. You can look us up at www.persistent.com. The Deasra stuff I work with is www.deasra.in. And if you want to look at ICGA Foundation, just look for ICGA Foundation, and you should be able to see that at icga.in. And we would love to get any of the breast cancer kind of, I know we are all Fogsi people here. So Fogsi people, I'm sure, deal with breast cancer a big way. So if you are interested in becoming a member of ICGA Foundation, let me know, or go online and you should find a link to help you get on with it. And let's do something to solve fundamental problems that we need to solve. We Indians need our own data sets for our own problems so that we can find our own protocols for our people. And I'm really passionate about that right now.
I think, as you rightly said, Foxy could be of a great partnering for these two projects, where for breast cancer and even for diabetes in pregnancy also rising a lot. And that's where we may, create a different data set for women who are diabetic and pregnant.
Correct. We need to do this at a national scale. I have many examples of why this is important. And we have some ideas on how to do it. We'd be happy to collaborate with Foxy in trying to see how we can build this out.
We will be in touch with you regarding that, and see how the things we can take ahead. Thank you so much, Dr. Anand, for being here today and discussing at length about a little different topic for us as medical professionals. But since it's becoming more and more important for us to understand all these different nitty-gritties and aspects, because as I said, the medical field is also changing, and we need to know about all these things. So again, that's another aspect on which we can work together. As you said, two of us are surely interested and willing to have that second orbit program or mentoring for us. So let's see how we can come together on that front as well. But on behalf of Foxy, once again, thank you so much for accepting the invitation and being here on this Gyan Pravah series today. Looking forward to see you.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here, and I wish all of you at Foxy all the very best. You guys are doing amazing work in for our population and our people. So I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.